Hi, welcome to Listen2Riches. Today, I'm here to interpret a work that straddles the realms of philosophy and psychology, titled, The Courage to be Happy. In this era of diverse values, where everyone's interests, beliefs, and life convictions differ, there are few things that can unite everyone. However, there is one exception to this, and that is the pursuit of happiness. Yes, everyone seeks happiness. Everyone wants to find a path to happiness. But does there truly exist a path to happiness that suits everyone? Perhaps there is, just as Tolstoy said. All happy families are alike. Each unhappy family is unhappy in its own way. This book, The Courage to be Happy, attempts to find that path to happiness that suits each individual. It is the sister companion to the famous The Courage to be Disliked, both subtitled as Philosophical Lessons from the Father of Self-Help, Alfred Adler. These two books are a collaborative effort by Japanese scholar Ichiro Kishimi and writer Fumitake Koga, engaging in a philosophical dialogue in the classic format of philosophical texts. In this book, a young person engages in a deep conversation with a philosopher, delving into the life philosophy of the renowned psychologist, Adler. Adler, born in Austria in 1870 and passing away in 1937, is the founder of individual psychology and often considered a top psychologist alongside Freud and Jung. Ichiro Kishimi is a representative figure in Japan for his studies in Adlerian psychology. The Courage to be Disliked has already been discussed in our literary program. Its central idea is that one must learn to establish an inner system of self-esteem in complex interpersonal relationships, and have the courage to be disliked. Only through this can one attain true freedom and happiness. At the end of that book, the young person, filled with hope, accepted Adler's ideas and prepared to embark on a new chapter in life. He left his job as a librarian and became a teacher at a junior high school, intending to spread and practice Adler's philosophy through education. However, he encountered numerous obstacles in the process of educational practice. Adler emphasized the need for task separation. Each person, whether adult or child, has their own tasks and should not meddle in others' tasks, nor allow others to meddle in theirs. However, as a teacher, he couldn't turn a blind eye to students' disciplinary issues, mischief, and poor attitudes toward learning. He believed that if he followed Adler's philosophy to the letter, the students would run riot, rendering education impossible. Ultimately, after 3 years, he re-entered the philosopher's home, ready to voice his grievances, convinced that Adler's ideas were impractical in reality. Thus began a new dialogue between the young person and the philosopher, the contents of which make up The Courage to be Happy. According to Ichiro Kishimi, The Courage to be Disliked serves as a map to understand Adler's ideas, while The Courage to be Happy provides a practical guide to implementing Adler's ideas and entering a life of happiness. It's important to note that Adler's philosophy and psychology are not mere sentimental self-help or tedious moral preaching. Rather, they are convincing, logically derived principles that withstand rigorous scrutiny and debate, each piece building upon the other. In fact, the dialogue between the young person and the philosopher is a process of debate and deduction. The young person constantly raises questions and challenges, while the philosopher counters with a well-structured thought system. In the end, he conquers the young person's doubts, giving him the courage to face life anew and seek happiness. For me, reading this book was not just a fleeting moment of inspiration, but a mental exercise and a paradigm shift in thinking. I suspect it may also challenge some of your life beliefs. Next, I will introduce this book in 2 parts. The first part will start from the educational issues faced by the young person, exploring the essence of education and what kind of education we should have. The second part will return to the book's title, answering how one can achieve happiness, and why courage is needed for happiness. Let's begin by discussing the first part of this book, which delves into the educational challenges faced by a young individual. Education has always been one of Alfred Adler's primary concerns. Having personally witnessed the brutality of World War I and the carnage it wrought upon humanity, he dedicated himself to rescuing humanity through educational reform. He even considered the essence of psychological counseling to be a form of re-education. In Vienna, the capital of Austria, he initiated reforms in public schools and established one of the world's earliest child guidance centers. There, he not only provided psychological guidance to children and their parents, but also offered training to teachers and counselors. Therefore, Adler was, in practice, an educator himself. Starting with schools as a foundation, he sought to disseminate and put into practice his educational philosophy worldwide. In keeping with Adler's approach, some young individuals aimed to spread and implement Adler's ideas through schools. However, during the practical application of his ideas, they began to feel that Adler's philosophy seemed somewhat impractical. For instance, Adler advocated neither praise nor criticism. However, when the young people followed this educational guideline, it led to situations where students who scored perfectly in exams received no praise, and those who failed to complete homework or disrupted class also went without criticism. This approach of neither praising nor criticizing was, in fact, based on Adler's concept of task separation. It suggested that children, parents, and teachers each have their own tasks, and they should not interfere with each other's tasks. Only when a child actively seeks help should parents and teachers offer the necessary support, without being intrusive. This stance appeared to contradict our experiences and common sense. So why did Adler advocate such an approach? This relates to the question of the purpose of education. Adler believed that the fundamental goal of education is to help individuals achieve self-reliance. But what does self-reliance entail? He viewed self-reliance as the transition from a childhood way of life, moving away from egocentrism. Every individual goes through this transition from childhood. Children typically develop a strong dependence on their parents during their early years. The process of becoming an adult involves gradually breaking free from this dependence and achieving self-reliance. This process is unrelated to age. Some children, despite their young age, may have mature thoughts and can achieve self-reliance early, while some adults may remain dependent on their parents or spouses, a phenomenon often referred to today as adult children living with their parents, or mama's boys. Adler believed that the role of educators, including parents, teachers, and counselors, is to assist individuals in attaining self-reliance, including adults. So how should they help? There's only one answer: through respect. He believed that respect is the sole gateway to education. In this context, respect doesn't imply treating others with exaggerated reverence, but rather seeing others for who they truly are. It involves recognizing that every person possesses a unique personality, and then striving to help them grow and develop without imposing one's own standards. It means refraining from making any negative judgments or exerting force on others, accepting and respecting their true selves, and safeguarding their dignity. This concludes the first part, elucidating Adler's unique insights into educational issues and his perspective on self-reliance. In the upcoming second part, we will continue to explore the book's theme, answering how individuals can attain happiness, and why courage is necessary for happiness. According to Adler, a person can only learn to accept themselves and find the courage for self-reliance when they receive full respect. This is because of the inherent vulnerability of human beings. During childhood, individuals are naturally inclined to experience feelings of inferiority due to their relatively weak physical and emotional state compared to adults. As they grow, some individuals gradually overcome these feelings of inferiority and achieve self-reliance. However, due to differences in personal talents, family circumstances, educational environments, and life resources, some people may remain trapped in feelings of inferiority throughout their lives. This phenomenon is commonly referred to as Peter Pan syndrome, or mommy's boy, in today's terms. In Adler's view, neither criticism nor praise contributes to respect, and both of these behaviors hinder a child's path to self-reliance. To explain this issue, Adler conducted a detailed analysis of the psychological motivations behind students' so-called problematic behaviors. Some children's misbehavior may stem from ignorance. For instance, they might not realize that being noisy in class disrupts others' learning, or that pushing and shoving on the playground can lead to danger. These children do not act out of malice and simply need proper guidance. However, some children deliberately engage in troublesome behavior, and their psychological motivations deserve further examination. Adler categorized the motivations of these deliberate troublemakers into 5 stages. The first stage involves seeking praise. They strive to excel in order to receive recognition. If they don't receive praise, they feel that their efforts are in vain, leading to a loss of motivation. The second stage is seeking attention. If they cannot achieve recognition through praise, they attempt to gain attention through other means, even resorting to misbehavior to gain notice. The third stage is power struggle. These children defy authority figures and challenge them to gain power. This behavior manifests as irritability and disruptive conduct. The motivations behind these 3 stages essentially revolve around seeking respect, love, and special status within the social community. If the above 3 methods fail to meet their desires, they may progress to the 4th stage, seeking revenge. They might attempt to hurt themselves or others to elicit guilt or disgust from those around them, accusing others of neglect or harm. The 5th stage involves proving incompetence. These individuals have given up hope, no longer wish to make an effort, and hope that others won't expect anything from them. They believe themselves to be worthless, uninterested, and resigned to self-pity. These individuals attempt to prove their own incompetence to those around them. Alfred Adler believed that these 5 problem behaviors all stem from the same goal: seeking a sense of belonging and hoping to attain a special status within the community. His theory emphasized the importance of respect in helping children achieve self-reliance. Only through respect can we assist them in overcoming feelings of inferiority and nurturing the courage to become self-reliant. We first analyzed the psychological motivations of students, and now we will delve into why criticism and praise are not helpful for a student's self-reliance. Firstly, for students who make mistakes due to ignorance, criticism is evidently unfair. After all, as the saying goes, ignorance is not a crime. Furthermore, for students who deliberately misbehave, criticism may be exactly what they expect. They hope that criticism will prove their uniqueness within the community. Being criticized may align with their desires, and they might even enjoy seeing their teachers angry, deriving a sense of satisfaction from revenge. Additionally, the author suggests that both criticism and anger fall under a category of violence, both physical and verbal. This represents an immature mode of communication, something children are well aware of. Therefore, when children receive reprimands, they not only fear their teachers but also realize that those reprimanding them are not mature individuals. Would you genuinely respect an immature individual who uses violence to threaten you? Clearly you wouldn't. Lastly, fundamentally, criticism implies an inequality of power and status, signifying that children are in an immature position and are not receiving full respect. This does not aid in their journey towards self-reliance. It's worth reiterating that only when individuals receive ample respect can they muster the courage to become self-reliant. Given that criticism has limited effectiveness, one might assume that praise should be helpful, right? Many books on positive education emphasize the importance of encouraging and praising children. So, why did Adler assert that praise is also ineffective? First and foremost, fundamentally, praise, like criticism, signifies an imbalance of power. Adler argued that praise is an evaluation by capable individuals of those who are incapable, with the intention of manipulation. Parents and educators should relinquish the high and mighty position of judges and refrain from making arbitrary judgments about children. Secondly, Adler believed that praise or rewards could lead to competition. While competition has its role, it can also foster hostility, jealousy, and feelings of inferiority, and even give rise to unethical behavior. An ideal society should promote cooperation over competition, where everyone realizes that they are part of a community, fostering friendly relationships and a sense of belonging. Adler believed that one of humanity's most fundamental needs is a sense of belonging. To achieve this sense of belonging, it's crucial to attain a special status within the community rather than seeking external praise and admiration. This requires the development of an internal self-esteem system, achieving what he called the courage to be disliked. No longer needing external validation to confirm one's worth, this is true self-reliance. In summary, both criticism and praise are not effective means to achieve self-reliance. Only through respect can we help children overcome feelings of inferiority and nurture the courage to become self-reliant. This theory applies not only to children but also to adults because the essence of education is respect and guidance, whether it's educating children or providing psychological counseling to adults. Moving on to the second part, we escalate from educational issues within school classrooms to the world of adults, addressing two questions that concern us all. How can individuals attain happiness? And why does happiness require courage? First, let's explore the first question. How can individuals attain happiness? Adler's answer is to build a sense of community feeling. The concept of community feeling has been mentioned previously in The Courage to be Disliked, and it is further elucidated in The Courage to be Happy. Adler explains that humans need to build communities because they require division of labor. Division of labor is a survival strategy developed by humans to compensate for their physical disadvantages. Each person possesses unique attributes, and whether in primitive societies or modern cities, people must engage in division of labor and cooperation for survival. Cooperation requires mutual trust because you cannot cooperate with someone you do not trust. Thus, humans have formed various communities, from schools and businesses to nations and ethnic groups, and even today, human society is composed of a myriad of communities. Adler emphasizes that the sense of community feeling is not externally imposed but exists within each of us. We only need to tap into it. Schools happen to be where individuals initially learn socialization and explore their sense of community. In this process, people learn to respect and trust others. Therefore, teachers should set an example by respecting and trusting students. What are the benefits of respect and trust? From a public perspective, they are the foundation for building communities. On a personal level, they are the foundation for forming good interpersonal relationships. Are interpersonal relationships important? Adler believed that all human troubles stem from interpersonal relationships, and all happiness also originates from these relationships. If we cannot respect and trust others, we cannot establish good interpersonal relationships, and consequently, we cannot attain happiness. However, you might present a counterargument, believing that humans are inherently selfish creatures, and showing unconditional respect and trust to others is difficult. Adler's answer, however, is quite simple: love. To love others as you love yourself, to trust others as you trust yourself. While this is challenging, it forms the foundation for building a sense of community feeling and attaining happiness. The book mentions that Adler's concept of love is an extremely serious, challenging, and courage-demanding subject. To understand Adler, one must ascend the heights of love. Here, let's summarize the preceding content. To attain happiness, you need to establish a sense of community feeling, and to establish this feeling, mutual respect and trust are required, with love as their foundation. Next, we will explore why happiness requires courage. In simple terms, happiness requires love, and without love, there is no happiness. However, because love demands immense courage, happiness also requires courage. The book begins with a dialogue between a philosopher and a young person. The philosopher asks the youth, "Do you think loving others or being loved by others is easier?" The young person responds, "Loving others is easier." Those who have experienced love know that it's easy to develop affection for someone, but earning another's love requires more effort, including time, energy, and sometimes financial resources. The philosopher, however, presents a different perspective. He believes that while being loved by others might be difficult, loving others is even more challenging. He elaborates on this idea by delving into the stages of human development. In our growth process, we initially experience a life of being loved, surrounded by the love and care of our family and loved ones. As we age, we become more aware of our position within the family and how to garner more love and attention. This self-centered way of living, where we are the recipients of love, is almost instinctual for humans. But as we grow, we must gradually abandon this way of life and learn to love others, achieving independence. Love is a manifestation of independence and maturity. Through loving others, we progressively become more mature. Therefore, love is incredibly difficult, demanding enormous courage. Love requires investing passion and effort, but there's no guarantee of reciprocity, and it may even lead to heartache. Love relationships are not always filled with joy. They also entail responsibility and various challenges. This is why many people, due to feelings of inferiority or selfishness, shy away from forming deep emotional connections. However, true love is not about waiting for the right person to come along. It's about daring to invest and take risks despite the uncertainty. In love relationships, no one can fully control the situation or guarantee that they won't be hurt. Only by facing love with courage can one experience genuine happiness. In the face of potential indifference and hurt, how should we respond? The answer remains the separation of tasks. Love is your task, but how the other person responds to your love is their task, something you can't control. The only thing you can do is to love actively. So, how do you overcome feelings of inferiority? The author presents the only solution: accept yourself and expect to meet those willing to love you. If you're not willing to love actively and simply wait for others to love you, you may never find true love. Some people might say they prefer a solitary life, pursuing ease and happiness, without desiring love and happiness because they believe love brings responsibilities and troubles. However, Adler doesn't agree with this perspective. He firmly believes that only through loving others can we truly break free from self-centeredness, achieve independence, and find a sense of community feeling. He thinks that only through loving others can we attain genuine happiness. This is also why Adler places such a strong emphasis on community feeling. He reflects on war, realizing that only by building a sense of community feeling can we eliminate the impulse to harm and destroy each other. Therefore, Adler's concern extends beyond individual romantic love. He is concerned with the greater love of human society. He seeks the happiness of the human community. In the end, the courage to love is the courage to attain happiness. If you are unwilling to love, you will not find happiness. Adler's argument forms a complete loop. Only through love can we achieve happiness, independence, and a sense of community feeling. In summary, this book emphasizes that the education of not criticizing or praising is, in fact, an education about love and independence, a means of uncovering a sense of community feeling. Schools are places to nurture a sense of community consciousness, where teachers and students form a close-knit community through respect, trust, and love. Therefore, Adler's perspective extends beyond individual romantic love to encompass the greater love of human society. He seeks the happiness of the human community. Congratulations on completing another book. Thank you for your support and attention. Please subscribe to the channel, like, and share this valuable knowledge with your friends. Let's combine wisdom with practice to achieve our financial goals and create a better future. Thank you, everyone. See you in the next episode.